Thinking about the theme of renewal, the image that came to mind was the phoenix, this bird that rises from the ashes to fly again. And then I started thinking about other birds, and I've got some stories here, but I like to start with a joke, and I didn't have any bird jokes. Does anybody have, anyway, I do have a chicken joke. Okay, some of you have heard, it's not, well, anyway, the chicken joke is like this. Why did the chicken go to the seance? To get to the other side. Absolutely. You got to watch out for Ron. He'll always finish the joke. Now, okay, that is a horrible joke. That is the kind of joke that will divide a room against you. Half of the room doesn't like the joke because it's really stupid. Okay, granted. The other half, well, this is a Unitarian crowd, so the other half doesn't like the joke because it has metaphysical implications. Okay, the story. The story is about two children, Hansel and Gretel, who are in a hard time. Their parents are very, very frightened. There's a famine going on. They're poor. The mother is afraid she's going to die. And the terrible thing is they decide to abandon the children so that there will be enough for the adults to eat. It's a horror story. I mean, it's strange that it's, in the collection of fairy tales, but they are grim, right? All right. So here we are, because we're identifying with the children. We're left in the woods, but Hansel's a clever boy. He has stuffed a little piece of bread, his breakfast really, in his pocket, and he has left a little trail of breadcrumbs. You remember the story. But it doesn't help, because the birds have come and eaten all the breadcrumbs. All right. From the point of view of the birds, this is a happy story. Breadcrumbs, hey, we don't usually, this is a treat, this is stuff we don't usually, hey, there's a big one, oh boy, and they're all gone. Birds, aren't they supposed to be a positive symbol? Isn't this transcendence or hope or peace or angels? Well, but not in this story. Right now, this is not a helpful bird, and we are lost in the forest. This is the call. In an initiatory story, something happens to pull us away from ordinary experience into an adventure. Usually it's something kind of harsh. Usually it's a health crisis, a financial disaster, what have you. And we are thrown out of our element and afraid and confused and sad. That is the state of this story. But Hansel and Gretel are not alone. They have each other. They have helpful birds, which are somewhat mixed. So you have allies, you have companions, occasionally mentors, some of them reliable, some of them not, or sometimes they're good, and on other days not so much. But this is fear itself, being in the dark forest. But this is not just a story about the congregational challenges of the last year. This is about any loss. We all have things to get through, and we have stories that help us. The pandemic, for example, this thing happens in nature that we could not plan for, that we were not ready for, and we're now maybe coming out of it, we hope, and it will be a long time that we have ahead of us to cope with the things. Shoes are falling, industries are having medicine, doctors are quitting because so many colleagues died, and others are just stressed out. Ministers are quitting, stressed out from COVID, and the after effects. Is it safe to go out yet? I see a few masks in the room. Should more of us have them on? We're trying to figure it out. We're still trying to figure it out. We're not yet out of the woods. The other day I was filling out a form online, and it asked what state I live in. You learn things doing this. Apparently, constant insecurity is not an adequate answer. I like that one. I don't know. Anyway, there's no accounting for taste. In the story, Gretel saves the day. Well, actually, a bird helps them, another bird helps them, takes them to food, saves their life, except we know the story. The food is this gingerbread house, and there's a witch there that wants to gobble them up. This is a very hungry story we've got here. It's Gretel that saves the day, not Hansel. the younger sister figures out how to get away. And what they find in the back room in the witch's house is treasure. Apparently, she not only had a lot of food around, which they pack up, but this treasure. So what we get out of the dark night of the soul is food, some kind of nurturance, some kind of nutrition, and wealth. I'm not thinking of this in greedy terms. I'm thinking something like a rich inner life, some kind of reward that is a treasure that is worth our trouble. Louisa May Alcott, who was one of that transcendental circle that Unitarian Universalists built on, she said, "I'm not afraid of storms, for I'm learning how to sail my ship." The point is not to avoid difficulties in life. First of all, we can't, but to get better at it. Not wishing they would go away, but to get better at it, steering our little ship. You know, the mystics, figures like Teresa of Avila, St. John of the Cross, they actually respected the dark night experience. It was hard. It was feeling alone. It was feeling like the angels were not listening. And yet that is where they had the epiphanies. What happens is it tears the fabric. It is so hard. Ordinary reality shakes. And for a moment, you see something more. You see something behind it. You see what the mystics were looking for. And so, in the end, they are grateful that it happened. I don't think we have to be happy at the moment. But later, let's figure out. Clarissa Pinkola Estes says, "It is in the middle of misery that so much becomes clear. The one who says nothing good came of this is not yet listening." So our job is, like Hansel and Gretel, to find the treasures in trouble. You know, a good novel or opera or movie isn't happy all the way through. It isn't all love and kisses. We hope there's some of that, but there's trouble. There's got to be trouble to have a good story. And so the challenge is to turn toward grief, turn toward the trouble, not only to deal with it more effectively, but to learn from it, even to see its beauty, like that poem from Denise Levartov this morning about the grief as a dog. We're finally taking the dog in, saying, okay, you're part of my life. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to give you your own mat. I'm going to give you your own water bowl. You're part of this household. Oh, and about those who are no longer with us, that's a sad thing to include, and yet we see some of them around town. This is a small town. We still love them. We're still connected to them. This place has their energy in it. It's not, because something ends doesn't mean it was all bad. And it doesn't mean it all goes away. They're in our hearts, we're in theirs. Connections last long after visibility. So we get to keep that love, I figure. I'm looking at, I can't see the slides up here. They're supposed to show here, but are those geese up there, Michael? Yeah, hold the geese for a moment. You know the goose story? Yeah, wherever they are, find them for me, thank you. The goose story. I heard this from our founding minister, Betz Wenicky. It's been around, I've heard other places. You know the story, but I'm going to tell you again because it's a good story. This is the story about geese and how they fly in formation. Now, the point is the hardest job because there's wind resistance. But if they form up in a V, each subsequent goose gets a little lift from the one flapping ahead. They get 71% more efficiency. They can go 71% further each day if they fly in a V. Once in a while, the goose will leave the V, probably accidentally or something, and very quickly realize, oh, it's a lot easier to fly if I get back into the formation. And they do. And they rotate the point, so they take turns and rest. And that's us, okay. We're the geese, we're flying. We figure out formations, even though we don't like order all that much, but okay, if it's easier, we'll figure out how to do that. And we do it. And the geese in the back, they're honking. They're honking encouragement. And it works. The ones up front doing the harder work are encouraged by the sound. They're all with it. It also helps them stay in formation, but yeah. So that's our job. Whoever's at point at the moment, let's all honk and give them some encouragement to keep it up, keep up the good work. So the phoenix. According to the legend, each phoenix lived for 500 years and only one phoenix lived at a time. Just before its time was up, the phoenix built a nest and set itself on fire. Then a new phoenix would rise from the ashes. We did not intentionally cause what hurts right now. We never do. In our lives, things happen. We didn't build the mess and set it on fire. But we often find out later that some things needed to go, that the fire was not all bad. Transformation hurts, and yet good comes of it. And so we are the phoenix. At dawn, legend says, the phoenix sang so beautiful. Apollo, the sun god, would stop the chariot, stop the sun, to listen briefly at the beautiful song of the phoenix. Poet Wallace Stevens describes the gold-feathered bird perched in a palm tree. The bird sings, its feathers shine, the palm stands at the edge of space. The wind moves slowly in the branches. The bird's fire-fangled feathers dangle down. Stevens gives us an inspiring image. We stand at the edge of possibility. Let us spread our wings and fly. Oh, if anybody asks you how the homily went today, you have my permission to say, it was for the birds.